Welcome to another episode of Season of Tears. Today, I'm in conversation with my co-host Sugat to talk about his experiences.
Hi, listeners. My name is Sukat, and I'm here to share my 1983 riots experience. Um, at that time, I was 12 years old. I was getting into 13 years. Uh, so that weekend, so July 22nd, Friday. So I was living in Anderson Flats at that time. So the following week was a midterm exams. I was studying at Hindu College. The following week was midterm exams. So that weekend, I decided to go to Bambalapitia Flats, where my brother was living, and he was older. His elder brother, he was like 21 years old. So the plan was for me to go and uh, learn some science with him, to study science for the exams. And also, there was an Adivel festival going on across the street from Bambalapitia Flats at the temple. So Friday night, I made it there. And Saturday, I think Friday night I went to the temple. Saturday morning we were studying. I guess on Saturdays at some point we heard that there was a attack in Tinaveli in Jaffna, and then there were 13 army personnel were killed, and that kind of created a news in. I mean, it's only radio, right? We were only listening to radio. That's the only
That's right,
form of
yes.
news coming. There's no other form of news coming. And so in the house, it was my brother and two elder cousins. There was no adult. My brother was 21, and the elder cousins would have been around 24, 25, and only four of us. And we were living, and so we heard this news on Saturday. There's nothing much happened on Saturday. We heard the news. We were concerned. Uh, then it was Sunday, and I decided, because of the incident, I decided not to go back to Anderson Flats. So my brother said, "You stay back," because even though it's a short distance from Bambalapidia to Anderson Flats, he was concerned that I should not go back. So I stayed back. Then all started happening on Monday. I think my brother decided to go out for a while. I stayed at home. Then we started from, it was the Bambalapidia Flats B block. So from B block, we can see the Gall Road. That's kind of the
So
second block from the.
sorry Sugat, how big were the Bambalapitia flats?
That was like Bambalapitia Flats is a big flat. That's from Gall Road up to the C. I
Right.
think that's one of the. I think it's still there. The flat is still
Yes.
there. There are like,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, about 20, 25 blocks.
Oh, I
And
see.
we were one of the first blocks close to the Gall Road. And so we could see the Gall Road from the balcony. So I could see from the balcony Monday morning, there were lorries going, there were trucks going with a lot of people shouting and saying things, and we could see that they're looking to attack. And one of those buses or lorries came inside the Bambalapitia Flats, and we were so scared that we were scared to go and stand in the balcony. We don't know who is going to attack. It was so bad. And then we decided to go back to the back window, and we were looking through anything happening to the temple. We could see the temple from the window. And then we saw that they
Do you
were
know the
looting.
name of the temple? Can you remember?
It was always called Bambalapitia Pillayar Temple. It's a Pillayar Temple, Bambalapitia Pillayar Temple. We always went because my school was behind that. Just few yards from there was my school. So it was
Right.
Bambalapitia Pillayar Temple. And then we could see that there was a banana shop. They sell bananas and cigarettes and all. They were looting when we saw from the window. And then there were people were trying to get in. These lorries were trying to get into Bambalapitia Flats, and somehow there are few boys, Sinhalese boys who were living in Bambalapitia Flats. They were able to block them. They were kind of went and saw. We were watching from the balcony. They managed to block them. So generally, what was happening was that, so the daytime was okay. All these actions are humming. By it comes about 6 p.m. You start shivering. You start feeling like what is going to happen in the night. Who is going to come. So we were living on the first floor, and so we decided on the second floor we had a uncle and auntie called Mr. and Mrs. Mehta. So my brother went and asked them, just for the night, can we come and stay with them? We were so scared to stay alone, only four of us. We were so scared to stay in our house. So my brother went and asked them, can we come and stay there? So they said, okay. I mean, they were still half Tamil, with these Mehtas, but they speak Tamil, but they spoke Tamil, but
Were they Indian?
still we wanted to stay with someone else. We did not want to
Yes.
stay alone. So that night we went and four of us went. I think we lived in their living room. Bambalai PTA flats only got 2 rooms. Every flat got only 2 rooms, so we had to live on the living room. And then morning we got up. We again came back to our house on the first floor. And like I said, the daytimes looks fine. You see a lot of things happening. We don't go out. We stayed inside the house. But again, on the Tuesday or Wednesday, again we wanted to go to Mr. and Mrs. Mehta's house and stay. But before we could go, they came and said, no, we got some news from our other neighbors not to host any others inside the house.
Oh.
So we were very, very concerned that we don't have a place to go. Like I said, only 4 of us, and we can't go out to see anywhere. Like Anderson Flats is what? I don't know. It's just a couple of kilometers, right? We are scared to even. I'm scared to go there. And we decided to stay. So by 6 o'clock, I think we all lock up everything. We all get into one room. There were only 2 rooms, but still we all get into the master bedroom, and we can't sleep. We just listen to the news. We stay there, and it went on for like a couple of days until Friday. The Friday the Friday was the day I think they said the Kotia came to Colombo.
Yes.
And I think my brother went out that day, and he went out to meet some, and we were trying to trace people now. My mother and my sister were living in Matale.
Right.
So we don't know what happened to them. And I also don't know what happened to my uncle and auntie and my cousins in Anderson Flats. And we have other relatives living in different parts of Colombo.
Did you have access to a phone?
We had access to the phone, but we could not contact any of them. Right. We had 0 contact. We don't know what happened to my brother, my mother and sister. We don't know what happened to my uncle and auntie in Anderson Flats, other cousins. We had no idea. So that Friday, my brother went out, and then he came back running. That people were like, again on the Gaul Road, all over the place. They are trying to burn. And I think that Friday was more difficult day. They were not looking for property. They were looking for people. They were looking for Tamil people to kill. Yes. Then he came running. And that kind of change, we decided that point onwards, we can't go out anywhere. Only place we go is I spoke fluent Sinhalese. I can speak, and you can see my first name sounds like a Sinhalese name, Sugat.
How did you end up with this interesting name, Sugat, just as an offshoot?
So it came from my parents. Parents liked this movie or this novel called Golu Hadawata.
Oh, okay.
Golu Hadawata was, I think it was 1970. I can't remember. It's the late 60s only. The book was published. They fell in love with Golu Hadawata, and the main character was Sugat.
Sugat, that's it.
Yeah. So when I was born, they decided to name me Sugat. So I have a first name which I spoke because we always lived where Watavala, Dedugala, Gidigatena, Gomaran Kadavala. These are the places we grew up. When my father was around, who was a doctor. So these are the places he was posted. So we grew up like we never. And like Gomaran Kadavala, we also had an incident during 1977 riots. And we were the only Tamil families in the whole of Gomaran Kadavala. For the entire village, only one family. Anyway, coming back to the story. Yes. So then we decided that we can't go. There were one shop in Bambalai PTA Flats, that shop, Tamil shop, that also got attacked. So I'm still trying to recall how we were finding food and how we were like eating. because it was
Yes,
scary.
because
It was like a lockdown. At COVID period, we talk about these lockdowns,
that's it.
but these were real lockdowns, because you were scared to go out. I think somehow we were finding some food.
And
And
your
so I
parents were
came only for the,
elsewhere, no, it
yeah,
was
my
just your cousins,
parents,
isn't it?
my two cousins and my brother. So
Yes.
I only came for the weekend. So I only had one pair of shorts and a t-shirt. So I had to borrow another pair of shorts and t-shirt from my my brother, and it was just recycling and staying there. Then we started hearing the Hindu college where I went that became a refugee camp.
Right.
But we were not sure whether we should go to the refugee camp or we continued. At some point
Mhm.
during that week, the boys, the Sinhalese boys who were protecting Bambala PDF flats,
Yeah.
he came to our house and said, "Don't worry, we will not let anybody come and attack the flats, but make sure you guys don't host anyone else. Don't
Right.
help how host outsiders, and make sure that behind everywhere the lights are on." So that they were going around the flats every night to making
Oh,
sure that
yeah.
it's like a vigilance group. They were really good. They were going around. They really
That's amazing,
protected.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing. Young boys. These are not adults. These are young boys. They were going around and protecting. And like I was saying, Bumblebee, it's not a small flat. It's a huge flat,
Yeah.
and it's not a gated community, right? So they have
Right.
to
Yeah.
really go around and block. Then we started hearing that a lot of people went to the refugee camp. My brother was trying to trace. Of course, we really could not trace my mother and sister. They were in Matale, so there's no way of tracing. And we were trying to see whether other cousins or anyone else we could trace. We barely heard few news, that my Anderson Flats auntie and uncle.
Hmm?
Then we heard that Anderson Flats was totally looted.
Oh.
We it's like every Tamil house in Anderson Flats was looted. I was thinking, so I remember when I moved to their house
Mhm.
from Matale. So before that, I was living in Matale.
Yes.
So I had this blue suitcase. So all my things were in one big blue suitcase. That's my stuff. So I still say that I moved to Colombo with a big blue suitcase. So that's where my property was. So my mind is thinking, okay,
Mhm.
if they looted the flats, is my things are still there. And
Yes.
so every night used to be like I said, the morning, daytime is fine. The nights used to be really, really hard for us. We were
I can't imagine the tension and how scared you must have felt.
we were really scared, and all of us were just young, right? There's no elderly person has to give direction. We need to
That's
make our
right.
own decision. Uh, then my brother we started hearing there are ships going to Jaffna.
Okay.
There are from Colombo to Jaffna. There are ships taking us. So we decided, okay, we need to find a way to Jaffna now, because we just can't live like this. This almost couple of weeks now. We
Yeah.
can't, but we just can't continue to live like this. So my brother started going and checking at the Hindu College refugee camp. How can we register ourselves to go to Jaffna? And there's a big queue. There's so many people wanted to go. So initially there were a number of cargo ships were going.
Mhm.
So people were taking cargo ships. So in Jaffna you can't. It's about 6 hours only if you go by train from
Yes.
Colombo to Jaffna.
But by ship.
But yeah, so we can't. Nobody can protect us and take us even by rope. How
That's it.
scary! In our own country, we can't. Nobody could protect us, because the reason I'm saying it, when we got stuck in Gomoran Kadavala in 1977,
Uh-huh.
they organized 2 trucks. I was 6.5 years old. I still
Right.
remember they organized 2 trucks
Mhm.
to take all of us from Gomoran Kadavala to Jaffna. And then the only luxury the children and the ladies had was they had a hood on top of the truck, and the men did not even have a hood. And there were two army trucks in front and 2 police jeeps in the behind, and we were escorted to Jaffna from Gomoran Kadaval. Again, it's a
Oh,
short
so there
distance,
there
but
was protection by the
there were
army.
protection. Yeah, there were at that time. But here,
Mm.
nobody can't even take us through the road. So the only form of transport from Colombo to Jaffna was by ship, and it has to go round the way. It's a long way. So my brother used to go every couple of days and check to register, and they
Mhm.
were giving priority to the people who were staying as refugees.
I see.
And So my brother also studied, so he at Hindu College, and he was only 21 years old.
Right.
It's not that he was older
Yes.
person, and somehow he got a contact so that he said, okay, we can go to Jaffna this particular day. So we just packed a couple of, you don't pack really, you pick up
Yeah,
two
of
trousers,
course.
two shirts, everything.
Yeah.
And then we went to Hindu College, and they say, okay, you all come to Hindu College in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Then afternoon, the bus is going to leave, and we are going to go to the port.
Right.
And so we went in the morning. We were standing outside. So that's where I studied Hindu College. So now I see the entire school is refugee camp.
Okay.
Every classroom is a refugee camp, and it's like a totally a different
So many
experience.
people, and the thing is, Hindu College was not the only refugee camp at that in Colombo, isn't it? So many other schools also became camps overnight, right?
That's right. Yeah. So overnight it all became, and for me it's emotional because this is the school I went, right? And suddenly
Absolutely.
it's like, oh, it's the whole place is changed now. And then they say, okay, 2 o'clock there's going to be a bus to take us to the port. And then I told my brother, can you excuse me about 10 minutes? I want to run to my classroom and see what's going on in my classroom.
Oh,
And he said, no, you'll get lost because the whole place is a mess. I
yes,
said, no, I know this school, right? I studied in this school.
of course.
Then I ran, I was grade
Maybe
seven,
seven.
grade 7. So I went to my classroom, 7D, if I remember correctly. I think 7D. I ran to the class just to see, and they were like packed. There are so many families inside. There were so many families, just not one family in one classroom, right?
Yes.
There were many families. They divided the place and they were living there. Then we came around 2 o'clock. The bus came. They took us to the port. And we were one of the lucky ones, I would say, because initial ships were all the local Sri Lankan cargo ships.
Right.
And at couple of weeks' time, India started sending some of those passenger ships to take people to Jaffna.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing, that the support you gave from neighboring countries to take people from Colombo to Jaffna, nothing else. You send a ship.
How ironic, isn't it? That
Exactly, just to, and I mean, we didn't have very much roots in Jaffna. My
of
parents are
course.
from Jaffna, and we did not much roots in Jaffna. But so we went to the port. There were so many registrations, securities. It's like leaving a country. It's pretty much like leaving to another country. Then we went into the ship. Like I said, we were lucky enough. It was a proper passenger ship, but it was overloaded. At least they had food. I was told that people who went by cargo ship, the only meal they had was before boarding. After
Really?
that, just snacks and water. But we had like proper Indian food. And I think it took more than 2 days. I think 2.5 days, if I remember correctly,
Okay.
by ship to get to Jaffna port. And it was like everybody. I mean, not everyone was like want to go to Jaffna. It's just no other option, no other choice, right? And no other
Kind of,
choice.
you have to go somewhere safe, isn't it? Considering the
Yeah, but
situation in Colombo.
correct. And we didn't know what to do next in Colombo. We were like thinking that this is it, There's
Yeah.
no more future for us in Colombo. That's the reason we all left. We said it's pretty much like leaving your own country and going to another place. It's
Right.
felt like we are migrating somewhere. That's the kind of feeling.
Yeah, it
And
would
the
have.
ship and the arrangement just made it that way too. And so we went and landed in Jaffna by ship, and one of other much older cousin, and I don't know, somehow we sent him a message. Oh, he was thinking that at some point we'll take the ship and come to Jaffna. So what he told us was every day morning his routine was take the car, come to the port and wait for the ship. He didn't know that we are coming.
There was no way to know, isn't it?
No way to know. So he asked them like when the ships are coming from the people there, and he take a car and wait. And interestingly, the way we went, the night I think we arrived, and he was there. We could see him. And I can still remember the announcements they were making on the on the loudspeaker when we arrived, and they said that the welcome to the people who are coming as refugees.
Right.
Now, just imagine that you are going to a land thinking that it is your place,
Yes.
and they are welcoming you with the word saying that welcome as refugees. That you felt like, okay, this is also not a place for us. So where do we go now? And then I think again, that's not home for me. It's again, we had to stay with some uncles and aunties with the same two pair of shorts. So I had two pair of shorts now, one of mine and one of my brother's.
Right.
So all could not stay. So I had to go and stay with my brother's sister's house, and in somewhere in Kokuville, I think.
Uh-huh.
And every day, so when I shower, I
Mm.
had to wash my set of clothes for the next day. So because you are just recycling, right? So at the
Yes.
12 years old, you take a shower daily, and when you are showering, you also wash your clothes, and so you have another pair of uh, shorts to wear next day. And I think we
Because
stayed for
uh-huh.
and now 12 years old. I mean, they don't even fold their clothes.
That's
Or
true.
they don't even put their clothes inside the washing baskets.
Yes, absolutely.
So we stayed there for a couple of months. I can't remember how many months we stayed.
Mm-hmm.
Then somehow we made it back to Colombo.
Right.
So I came back. Then I went back to Anderson Flats. Now, all this while, my thinking is my suitcase is still going to be there?
Yeah,
Because
because
that
you were
is where
12 years old, and that's what a little child of that age would think anyway, isn't it? There was this.
exactly only that was my only belonging. Like, I mean, I didn't have
Yeah.
anything else. So when I went back to Anderson Flats, first thing I did was I ran to the room. I was looking below the bed. Then I could see my blue color suitcase there, and I was so happy that I have my
Ah.
my school uniforms. I have my clothes. Everything was there. Then when I went to the Anderson Flats, all the furniture was changed because they pretty much took all the furniture, refrigerators, the TV.
Oh,
They
so it
dropped
was
all of
looted.
it. Was looted in a way that they were taken out and they were dropped from the second floor.
No.
Yeah, the refrigerator, I
The
remember this.
refrigerator, they dropped it
Yeah,
from the balcony, basically.
exactly. They dropped it
No.
from the balcony, the refrigerator, TV, whatever they could take, they took it. Maybe the TV they took it, maybe the refrigerator they can't take it, right? It's hard to
Yeah, of
carry.
course, yes.
They just dropped it, furnitures, everything. So the house was like it's a well furnished house. I remember. My aunt is like very clean, very perfectionist, But
Yeah.
now everything was like looted, and they had bare minimum stuff in their house.
Oh.
So I went. So now the Hindu College was still a refugee camp.
So,
So there
Suga,
was no
just to
school.
interrupt, your auntie and uncle who were there, did they move to a refugee camp as well? And
So
then they.
I think they went and stayed somewhere else. They went
Oh,
and
right.
stayed with somebody else in Pamankada. Yeah, they
Okay.
went and stayed in Pamankada. I don't think they made it to Jaffna.
Okay.
They stayed because so a lot of us, I think we went to Jaffna for whatever reason, but a lot of other families in Colombo, there was no reason or no attachment back to go to Jaffna because that was not the base, right? Our base was always in
Yeah,
Colombo. So
of
you can't
course.
just go there. So I think they did not go. A lot of families like that did not go. They just continued. And so next day I have to go to school. Now the Hindu College is still a refugee camp.
Ah,
So they combined couple of Colombo Tamil schools, Hindu College, Ramanathan, Hindu Ladies, and
right.
another school, and they opened up a classroom in St. Mary's in Kolpiti, Bambalapiti or Kolpiti,
Uh-huh.
St. Mary's. So we all went. Now Hindu College was used to be like each class 40 people per grade, 40
Yes.
people for about 160 people.
Yeah.
So now they could put entire Hindu College one class, one grade plus Ramakrishna Hindu ladies and another class, another school into one class in St. Mary's because everyone else left and went somewhere else. Whether
Only
they
there,
went to
there were only a few remaining. Is
that was a reality, right? That was a reality. It was only handful of people left, and so that point it changed. That you have like only couple of friends. What happened to all other friends? You all other friends you have no contacts with them. So in couple of months we went to St. Mary's. Before we heard that now Hindu college is all back to normal, and then we went back to. Then in a couple of months, I started going back to school in Hindu college.
Mhm.
But then, since then, we just missed all your friends, and even now, there are a number of friends who left in 1983,
Yeah.
and it took a long time before we connected back with them. With thanks to the Facebook and
Oh,
WhatsApp
yes.
groups coming back, we all connected back to see that. Remember that 1983, you just left. You some went to Patikalo to study, some went to Jaffna to study, some went to Trinco to study, and so that whole one. And we were 13 years, right? We were
Yes.
entering our 13 years, and that's going to be like a prime. We were all looking forward to a good life, and that whole thing just changed our life, and we talk about it. And 83 riots has changed uh, the way we lived then onwards, and
Interrupted your
yeah,
childhood completely, isn't it? Not just you,
completely.
everyone.
Everyone, we when we think back only, thanks we are doing this. When you start thinking and talking about it, you understand what was a
Yeah.
big impact at the 12 years old.
And I think that's like the underlying theme, isn't it? Just to make sure that this kind of thing never ever happens again anywhere. Because, the impact it has on everybody, especially children, is hard to even begin to understand.
Yeah, and I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't see my house burning, and then we heard that Matale, where my sister and my mother lived, their house was burned down, and they had another experience of going in Matale. Their house was burned down.
Yes.
They
I think
had hard
Matale was
time there.
badly affected, wasn't it? Like Badulla.
Yeah, and that it was all organized with the voters' ID. They were going around and burning houses. Uh, so I by the time I met my mother and sister is another couple of months
My goodness. I
before.
can't
Yeah,
imagine what you went through, because, as a child, especially, I think sometimes you don't realize, you think this is your place, you'll be safe here, and then overnight, things change.
exactly. I mean, it's just we never thought that it will happen to us. We never thought like and we still don't can't think that why it happened. Why,
Yeah,
why it happened to
exactly.
and still trying to reconcile
I know.
and make sure that it will not happen again. And
Sometimes it
because
feels
we
like
have,
a bad dream.
yeah, it feels like a bad dream, exactly. And we all live together like that. We all live together, and we still live together. We still and then one episode, I think it changed not only the Sri Lanka, the Tamil community, also the all the economic situation of the country. From 82, Sri Lanka was one of the open economies in Asia,
Yes.
and we were ready to have a boom, and the whole thing just went backwards.
That's such a tragedy, isn't it? And I think, we still haven't recovered, because obviously after that, everything else happened. And when it comes to being kind to each other, I think we still have a long way to go. But we have made some
Definitely.
gains, especially after the Aragale last year, where people, began to sort of understand the need for reconciliation, for understanding each other, and for moving forward.
True. I hope we will go on the right direction so
Absolutely.
that we can forget the past and we all
Move
can move
forward.
on,
That's
move
it.
forward. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sugat, for sharing your experiences.